and those students, they give their answers. What I can tell you is that they are very creative in their thinking, and they have dreams for this community, and they know that at some point in time in the future, they're going to have to make a choice. If they leave to go to college or get some other further education or training, there'll come a point when they have to make a decision about whether or not to come back. And they were able to describe in very powerful ways what they would hope this community had that would bring them back. And I think that's something that most everybody wants, is to create a community that their children would choose to come back to. And so they were absolutely amazing. And all of their comments, just let me say for that, and all of the other ones that we've been doing, will be compiled and made available to the community, so as well as the survey results. So at some point in time, in the next couple of months, you'll have a report that details all this information.
Okay, thank you. Well, we appreciate all your hard work and your effort, and Teresa, we always appreciate everything that you do, and Debbie working with Trailtown. The good positive things is what we like to hear. We really appreciate the effort you all put toward it, so we appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
I've come back to see about the fire hydrants again. I just wanted to know if any more has been repaired or fixed. I know about a year and a half ago, the paper did do a thing on the fire hydrants here in town, where fire hydrants didn't work, they worked at the time, and then I know it, not last meeting, but the meeting before, they did tell that 2 had been fixed. So I was just seeing if any more has been fixed, if there's been any money allotted to be fixed, and if there's any schedule in the near future. Thank you.
Eddie, can you address any of that for us?
I do have one fire hydrant to be down there right now. I think we just put it down there
On the street.
What is some of the numbers on those, Eddie? What are some of the numbers
How many are not?
currently?
They are not working. Out of 200, maybe, I think there's about 20 that's not working.
Not working at all, or there's no repair?
Not working or being repaired, yeah.
Okay, that's.
Anybody else?
Electrical rate studies. What are we going to do about, well, we just had a print newspaper regarding our electrical rates here in town. And I was just kind of curious as what is the council planning to do about the public notice problem we've had the past 6 years. We've not had any public notice, and we've raised our rates over 40%. So without public notice, which is against the state law. So how do we get back to a point where we can have public notice about our electrical rates?
Council want to address that? Okay, I will. We had an ordinance that's been in effect since 2000. That ordinance, we follow that ordinance to the T ever since 2000.
So
We did the same thing. Let me finish. We did the same thing that the ordinance has been in place to do. We haven't did anything that's anything wrong. I know there's a lot of stuff published in the paper, which probably shouldn't have been, and we talked about that, and Joe considered to go ahead and do it anyway. We have people looking into that, including our city attorney. There's nothing that we did wrong, and I'm sure you'll find out.
I'll disagree.
Okay, you can disagree.
I can. But let me ask you this. Any PSC regulated system has a public meeting regarding electricity.
We don't fall under PSC.
You don't. No, you don't. You don't. But you do follow under KRS, the Kentucky Revised Statutes. And so to say that an ordinance supersedes state law is incorrect.
I don't think anybody said that.
Well, that's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that.
There's very specific.
One at a time now. We're not going to go into this very deep right now, because this could be a legal issue, and we're not going to talk about it yet.
I see.
Okay?
There is a specific KRS statute regarding municipal and utilities that says you cannot, without notice and public hearing, raise the rate. Doesn't say you can adopt an ordinance to go around that.
There's a KRS that we just found out because Joe found it and put it in the paper. We found out about that. We were unaware of it, just like all the other people were in the past.
We've told you about this for 2 years. We handed
That was 2 years ago.
Ron, that was the previous council. We handed copies of that statute out.
Okay.
So you were made aware of it, but you chose to ignore it at that time.
We didn't choose to ignore nothing. And when if you're lucky enough to get on this council, you'll see some of this stuff. If you're lucky enough to get on.
If I'm lucky enough,
We're not going to politic, this is not the place for that. We're
Well,
just talking about the ordinance.
Okay, I think that's probably enough said, because it could be a legal issue we shouldn't be talking about anyway.
Is there any chance of ever having the attorney present for these legal issues?
Anybody else? Wait a minute.
Let me finish.
go ahead.
As far as last meeting, I brought the issue of the city declared an emergency January 17, 2012, raising water rates. The ordinance on file says that you did declare that emergency at first and second reading, January 17th. Now, I'm repeating some things I said last time, but I've got a question to ask. The ordinance was not published until February 1st. Under Kentucky statutes, and I'm sure your city attorney has informed this, that when you declare an emergency, it must be published within 10 days. Of course, February 1st makes it 15 days, which makes the ordinance illegal. However, the issue that concerned me was that when I went to City Hall to check on it, it showed a publication date of January 25th. And even more disturbing, once I brought this issue up, I went back to City Hall and rechecked. And through just the stroke of a pen, the minutes, the council's minutes that were approved by City Council had been stricken through, and a date of February 1st inserted just with a pen. Now, is this the way you can amend minutes? If it is, then it's a pretty simple process. But the problem you have is that the city of Olivehill, on top of the electric rate debacle, the city of Olivehill had been overbilling through the U.S. mail, and increased water rate that the people of Olivehill are not legally obligated to pay if the ordinance was passed illegally. Now, I'm saying that the ordinance was passed illegally. I'm also saying it's very illegal to have falsified minutes or falsified insertions in the city minutes. Now, I asked the mayor last time, you see what I said, and he very graciously said, if the city of Olivehill had been overcharging the citizens of this town, then they would get a refund. I guess my question tonight is, when do they get the refund?
I don't think it was my exact words, Jim. You kind of stretched things a little bit, but these things are in the hands of George Hall. He's our city attorney. You're making accusations here, so that has to be turned over to legal counsel. George is looking into this, and I don't know if you're aware of it or not, George has been off with some sickness in the family.
I know George got his problems.
So, if you want to visit George, or you want to make an appointment to see George, or whatever, you're more than welcome to do that in the next couple of weeks. But right now, I can't tell you anything about it. I do know we researched it. I do know there's some things happening that's beyond our control. But George is looking good until he comes up and tells me what he's found out. I can't tell you anything. And the council may have looked into it too, and I'd probably tell you the same thing.
But obviously, something must have took hold because somebody changed the date of publication.
I don't know anything about that. Until you can show me, then I'll say, well, you're right.
Well, it's in the city minutes. I've got photographs of before and after.
Okay, all right.
So what are you saying there?
I don't know anything. I don't know any more right now than what I did last time.
You're saying that next month they're going to go ahead and collect this enhanced rate?
Whenever we find out if we did something wrong, we will make it right. If we done something wrong,
If you did something wrong, you will refund the money.
if we done something wrong, we will make it right.
Make it right by refunding the money.
We'll make it right, Jim. I'm not gonna fall into your little game here. We'll make it right. We'll make it right. One way or another, we'll make it right. I know what you're trying to do.
Okay. We, could I expect an answer maybe in the next meeting? I
Probably.
mean, will you research this? Will you meet with George?
If I have the time, yes, I will. I'll meet with George. I don't know when George is coming back.
Okay, what's the council? Does council have anything to say about this?
I will ask him.
One thing I understood was there was a period of time where we thought that the publication of the ordinance was going to be in the newspaper, and the newspaper readily admitted that it didn't begin on the time frame that we thought it was going to begin. So they have admitted that it did not go in timely manner, that we had submitted it. So,
Also, so you submit, so it's a newspaper fault, so,
well,
is that what you're saying?
that's just what I know about it. That's what you're asking about the time limitation, and we billed on the date that it was published in the newspaper. So I guess you could say, how much time are you saying? The law says that we have to notify the public ahead of time before the billings go out. But it was a time period that we thought it was going to be in the newspaper,
Okay.
that it was
So-
not.
So you have something to do with the publication? I mean, you say we.
Well, I'm saying as the city, it was submitted to the newspaper.
In a timely fashion?
In a timely fashion.
Okay.
So I don't think that's been verified by Sheila at the newspaper office. So if you want to speak to her about that.
Okay. Will, you trying to let me read that?
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I need to say something. You know, after the flood, our field downtown was pretty well demolished. And I remember getting my first electric bill opening back up. I mean, it not only demolished the town, it demolished, it was like us, you know what I mean? It was a part of us, because this is our town, you know? So I called up to the city hall, and I could not believe my electric bill, because I'd been closed for a month. And I asked him, I said, why is my electric bill so high? And Judy Klein, she said, I don't know, I'll check into it. So she called me back. She said, well, we had to change your meter. I said, why? She said, the flood. And I said, they didn't hurt my meter. I mean, and then our paper put in that publication that the highest rate that has been charged was the month after the flood. Instead of taking care of us, I feel like you hurt us. I mean, I'd go around from city council member to city council, could you help us? Are we gonna get help on our electricity? And nobody had an answer. I mean, but they said, Joe, am I right? That's the highest rate that was after the
For
flood?
homeowners, that was the highest rate for homeowners.
How about the,
I don't
It
know if
was
it was the
on-
highest rate for,
it was like $1,800 and it had been, I mean, all of it. It was gas and all of it, I'm not saying that. But I mean, I couldn't get nobody to help me. I just could not figure out why it would be so high. I just want, if something is going on, which he's really, I think he's got some good ideas. If something is going on, we need to take care of this. We need to take care of our community. Or we're not, you don't know how many people I've heard leaving because of the rates. We gotta take care of it. That's all I gotta say.
Mayor? At this
Could
time-
I answer her? I think that Carolyn, that the city has to buy their electric from AEP or whoever it is. If they raise their rate, then the city cannot go on and not raise their rate. So it's according to how much they have to pay out
I understand
for
that,
the
Neil.
rates.
I sure do, I understand that. But I really think something's been going
Well,
on.
they can't lose money.
I'm not saying lose it, but I'm not saying stealing from the residential and the businesses. I just feel like that's
You
what's been
think
going
the
on.
city is stealing?
I think they have been really, I think that the rate, when we're paying more than Moorhead and Grayson, there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
Well, the city rates have doubled in 6
Jan,
years.
please do not